Welcome to episode 4 of Satisfactory 1.2 Experimental. We're going to jump right in. So let's get a bird's eye view of what's going on. Last time we did a set of smelters, 2 sets of smelters really, but only one's turned on. And those smelters went into iron rods and iron plates. We have our copper over there in the distance, and we have a biomass facility right there. We have 2 miners. Only one is really being used right now. We've got oh yes, I forgot my belt that was not connecting the 2 mergers for the screws. So now we have our full number of screws instead of just half. So the next thing we need to do is get our iron plates taken care of. So we're going to bring the ore from the second miner up into the second set of smelters, and we'll get those going. Once again, I'm doing 1 pole per every 2 machines. It is probably better to do 1 pole for each machine, but this is just the basic starter factory and it's going away eventually, so maybe sooner rather than later, because I have developed a plan for what I want to do with my iron, and that plan will start by the end of this episode. Now that the smelters are all powered up, we need to give them their recipes. For whatever reason, the one on the end already had a recipe. It must have been copied from the previous line or something. But it already had a recipe. And we are making iron. We still need some belts here for the splitters, but we'll get that taken care of quickly enough. And right here is the first point where I realize that I am out of reinforced iron plates, and that is going to be a recurring problem throughout most of this episode. It's definitely something that I need to consider automating sooner rather than later. And so it is time to start placing the constructors for the iron plates. Because of the 1.25 times recipe game mode that I'm playing, we need 40 iron ingots to make 20 reinforced plates. We need to make 20 iron plates, and therefore we can have just 3 constructors for a 120 pure node. Yet again, I'm having to go back to Mark 1, and then I even run out of those iron plates. So what I'm going to do is just power up this constructor that I've already placed and make it into a actual iron plate constructor, and then take the iron plates that it's making to run my conveyor belts and make the other things that I'm constructing at this time. So I have enough reinforced iron plates to place a couple of more constructors down. Unfortunately, I don't believe that there's enough. And I've placed that constructor wrong, but I'll fix that in just a moment. I'm thinking, why is that splitter yellow? It's because the constructor was not placed in the right spot. There we go. Now we can run a belt. And another belt. And it's okay for right now for me to use Mark 1 belts. I'll just have to replace them all later. And I'm out of plates again. And I somehow have placed an extra splitter. There we go. And some mergers and a storage container in order to collect the plates that I am finally making at this point. Trying to place the third constructor. I'm very curious as to why it is red, and I realized that the storage container has been placed one space too close. So just move it a bit out of the way. Certainly that is plenty long enough. And now we can place our third constructor. Get it powered up and then get some belts to it. Splitter and a merger. And we should be good to go on the third and final constructor. In case you're not aware, the key to placing a splitter merger on a belt that's existing is to aim your center dot here, aim it right at the belt. So I've got some more reinforced plates, and I'm able to replace some of my belts with Mark II. I'm going to end up needing a whole lot more reinforced iron plates though. Here I have skipped time for the handcrafting, but some of the handcrafting, because there's quite a lot of reinforced iron plates being handcrafted in this episode, I just cut completely out. But right now, we're looking at the space elevator, and we need some of everything. The concrete and the iron rods won't be a problem. And here you can see that the wire is also not a problem. We will, I think, go grab the concrete next. No. Get some plates. Excuse me. Looks like I skipped grabbing the concrete, but I had plenty of it at my concrete factory, so it wasn't a problem. Looks like I may need a few more. Okay, and here is my idea for building a space elevator. I'm just gonna kind of put it out over the void. Put a little ramp. I think that 2-meter ramp is as steep as I want to go for right now for this part of the base. And I am trying to make an 8x8 platform here for the space elevator. I do end up making it one more foundation wide later on, as you'll see. So it ends up being 9 wide by 8 deep. Here I'm just trying to make sure that I have a good border on all sides. It's kind of funny actually, something that I cut out because it was a little bit embarrassing. I ended up falling off into the void at one point, and I had to reload from an autosave. But you definitely didn't need to see that. It was just a waste of time. And so I did put the elevator to the left side, and here I am drawing the extra line of foundations, just as I said. So it's 9 wide by 8 deep, and that's plenty to be able to hold the marvelous Fix-It Space Elevator trademark. Here I go into photo mode so that I can try to get a better view of the wonderful cinematic sequence here. It's funny, the Ada prompt doesn't actually come up until you exit photo mode. So you'll see here there's a little bit of a skip. There it is. And then I exit.
Project assembly initialized. Congratulations, Pioneer. The space elevator will now automatically connect with the Project Assembly orbital platform. Project assembly is divided into phases, each of which require the delivery of project parts, such as smart plating, via the space elevator. Subsequent phases unlock access to new tiers with more advanced technologies to construct, automate, explore, and exploit. It is time to be honest. This project is part
Who
of
are
the
you
Save
kidding,
the Day
Ada?
program, the
You've
largest
never been
united
honest
undertaking in
with
human
any of
history,
your pioneers.
destined to save us all.
It's a
Earth is in
ridiculous
peril, and only
concept for
Fix-It
you.
pioneers offer hope for survival. Fix-It is counting on you. Humanity is counting on you. Do not let Fix-It down.
And my wondrous exploring trip earlier has made it possible for me to start down the mycelia tree.
The mycelial networks of these fungi possess unusually resilient hyphae, which show potential for making a strong but lightweight natural fabric. Additionally, it has similar medicinal and pest control applications to mycelia on Earth.
And I decide I need some more mycelia. So I come to the closest cave. Arachnophobia warning for anyone who doesn't like spiders. Fortunately, this is an easy cave. There's only a couple of small spiders in here. Stingers, as they are known. No trouble to take them out. I was expecting more, but really there weren't any. It was a little surprising. And I was able to pick up plenty of mycelia, as well as the summer sloop hidden in the back. Just grabbing the loose mycelia that's there on the ground, so I won't have any more reason to ever come back to this cave. There's nothing left, and the mycelia does not grow back. And it's time for a chainsaw montage. You'd think this would be enough biomass to last me for quite a long time, but no. Sad to say, there are other chainsaw montages, even in this particular video. So it's time to drop off our leaves and wood, and then we will collect some biomass, or attempt to at least, for the mycelia research. I've realized that I do not have enough built up because I never did have a surplus of biomass. It is constructing it, maybe not using it, but constructing it as fast as I can put it in. So I will end up with enough biomass to do the mycelia research, but definitely I will end up needing more biomass. I decided that the cheating method is the best, and just get a couple of animal proteins worth of biomass. Definitely can't go wrong doing that. A lot of people say all of your biomass should go into capsules for sinking. I disagree on that. You'll never have a problem
Research completed.
with enough
Fabric recipe unlocked. New mycelia
without
research
with
available.
having enough capsules, DNA capsules, because there's always more creatures. But in the beginning, that extra 100 or 200 biomass can really mean a lot.
Parachute unlocked. Fix-It appreciates your willingness to descend rapidly to perform your duties, but damaging Fix-It property is a breach of contract and will have unpleasant consequences. Improve descent efficiency by combining the forces of gravity and drag with a parachute.
And there's the parachute, one of the very important early game items to be able to do a lot better at exploring. Doing some mental calculations, I do realize I have enough rotors to unlock both the protein inhaler and the rebar gun, so I'm going to do that.
Research completed. The protein inhaler can restore health in the eventuality that you have been carelessly damaging Fix-It property.
Then I was mentally cursing to myself because I saw that it took more reinforced iron plates. Again, the bane of my existence during this episode.
Research to develop the rebar gun is now available. When completed, you will be in possession of a tool effective against any local obstacles actively objecting to the Fix-It mission.
Back to get more plates and screws for yet another round of handcrafting reinforced iron plates. I cannot wait until I can get those automated. Again, I just chopped that handcrafting right out of the video. There's no need to have to see that. It doesn't benefit anyone.
Rebar gun and iron rebar ammo unlocked. Your ingenuity towards preservation of Fix-It property has been noted. You earned a micro break. And welcome back. I hope you feel refreshed.
I always try to start out with a full stack of rebar. I don't necessarily always keep a full stack on me, and in fact later on in this episode I will run out, but definitely try to start with a full stack. And this is just a little outdoor mission, just to try to get a feel for the rebar gun again. It's been a while since I had used it, but we'll definitely be using it quite a lot during the remainder of this episode. Enjoy some exploring. I'll chime in whenever it seems necessary. I'm definitely getting a little bit better at shooting while jumping. It's not the easiest task, but as long as you're relatively stable and the creature's not moving too fast, it just takes a little practice. Here I'm trying a different strategy using catwalks instead of foundations, and it works. It uses some different materials, so I guess it depends on what you have on hand, but the catwalks are only half as wide as, or long, depending on how you look at it, as the foundation, so zooping out 10 of them only gets you half as far. Short distances, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. And this is where our Purcaterium node is, so definitely need to place some portable miners here and do a little research. I will end up doing that at a later date. Right now it's just portable miners that I will come back and collect. And eventually this will be made into a little factory. There's a lot of good nodes right here. There's a copper right nearby, and I believe a coal and an oil there, and a SAM. It's a great place for like an electronics factory. So that's probably what'll end up right there. In case anyone's wondering how much I cut out of these videos, this entire video was 3 hours and 13 minutes, and it's cut down to 1 hour 32 minutes. So, less than half, not by much, but a little less than half of the total time, and only a very small amount of that time was me AFK, maybe 5 minutes. So I really did cut out a lot of boring, unnecessary stuff like handcrafting, embarrassing things like me running back and forth for iron plates and concrete every few minutes when building, things like that. All that boring stuff gets cut out, and I would not be shocked if somebody said, well, your videos are still too long. Definitely leave feedback if that's what you think. There's definitely more I could cut. I don't need every bit of this exploring, and other things too.
The effigies ripples through our temples, our veins nearly touch. He is shy, notes shall be taken and played.
From a certain perspective, your brain looks like it is processing language, but there is no auditory data. If you are hearing voices that are not mine, this is no cause for concern. It is a common side effect of extreme pressure and stress.
For anyone joining us late in this series, yes, there is a crash pod here, and yes, I have already retrieved it in a previous episode, so that's why you are not seeing it here. maybe I've left a little too much exploration and or combat in this video, in all my videos maybe. I enjoy those kinds of episodes, a lot of exploration. There's a quartz node half buried in the ground right there. I enjoy those kinds of episodes, and that's why I tend to leave that kind of stuff in. But again, feel free to skip past. You'll be able to tell when the exploration's over. Although it is a good chunk of this video. This cave near the coal hole there is, at least that's what we normally call the area that in the base game has 4 coal nodes and a bunch of water, the coal hole. That cave there is actually a free Mercer sphere. There are no enemies in that cave, though there are several spitters. So interesting, where there's normally 4 normal coal nodes, we have a pure coal node and a crude oil, and we're about to see what else there is right after this combat. My aim definitely struggles from farther away. I need to be aiming a little bit above. Although that jumping shot did pretty well. But again, these aren't tremendously dangerous enemies. They're just your standard run-of-the-mill spitters. And so the other 2 nodes are Sam, and I have to double back because I passed it. A copper node. Sam and copper together is great for the Sam fluctuators, so that might be an option if there's iron nearby anyway. And strangely enough, with those 4 nodes, one of those coal nodes normally has a boulder on top, and that doesn't happen in the randomized nodes, which is very interesting. It's actually a very easy yellow slug to get when you know the crouching trick. And this area can be a pretty difficult location for a beginning player. Maybe one of the first cliff hogs that you run into. And you might not be expecting a hog that could shoot at you. I stay well away from it. take it out from a distance. You'll see here in a second. It's not really very exciting as far as combat goes, but if you're looking for a strategy to clear this area, you might want to check it out. At the very least, if you're not all that experienced with the rebar gun, you can see exactly how high you need to aim above your target at those distances. After taking out the hatchers around this summer sloop, and there's just the one spitter there, and I believe he is a larger version. Yes, he's shooting out the multiple bolts at once. But again, I have the high ground, so it's not that big of a deal, and I can go right up to the summer sloop and just grab it directly.
We hum a simple melody into the effigy, yet we hear no harmony. It covers the temple in bones and organs and limbs, yet ignores our bleeding wounds. Scripture is needed. Consume.
A familiar pattern is emerging in your brain. Please assess yourself for signs of concussion. If necessary, a replacement pioneer will be dispatched. Work must continue. Replacement delivery schedule estimate. Error, years.
Was just cleaning up my mess there, the various remains, but now we've got to build a cross if we want to get to that crash site, and we're going to have to take out the cliff hog. Fortunately, he never even gets close enough to charge or even shoot us with a rock at high velocity. And I think they may have done something to the animal remains physics. I have definitely seen a lot more tumbling hogs lately since 1.2 experimental has been released. So we'll see if that remains a thing, or if maybe it's just my imagination. And now the way has been cleared to grab this crash pod. The only problem is it is one that requires a decent amount of power. I believe it was 270 megawatts. We'll see here in a second. But I think I had to do 9 or 10 biomass burners. So 1 item, steel beams. 2 stators. 3 more stators. Almost fell off. 4 circuit boards. 5 modular frames and 6 rubber. And there you have it. We will skip past most of the generator building and you'll see the result. Once you get past the very beginning of the game and you have a decent amount of materials, the power using drop pods are really just more annoying than anything else. They definitely later on in phase 2 you can build a blueprint with biomass burners to handle those, but by then a lot of times you have actual real power nearby. And I decide to finally take notice of this doggo who's been here the entire playthrough, right near my base. And in my family we have a new puppy recently, and his name is Reggie, Reginald for short. So we're going to call our first doggo Reginald. And it's going to be a doggo pen is the next mini build to be built. Doesn't take me very long, but I've still cut out the tedious parts of it, and I've made it a little larger than the usual first doggo pen that I build, just in anticipation of finding more friends for Sir Reginald. And it's not at all difficult to get doggos into a pen. You really just have to build a false floor over the top of it and then remove it as they get into the right position. The trick is getting them to your base in the first place, which was tedious, and the second doggo that I get later in this episode was way more tedious, but they're so valuable and so cute, so I usually take the time to get them. And it's Quickwire, which will help us in our MAM research. Awesome. I'm getting vague ideas in my head that I'm about ready to start building, and for that I'm going to need items from the awesome shop. And so it seems like the best and most reliable way to feed the awesome sink is going to be to feed it reanimated SAM. The SAM node's just sitting there at the base of my base, so to speak, and it's a pure one, meaning that there's plenty of SAM to go around. I can get 120 SAM there to feed a constructor. Right now I'm short on reinforced iron plates, so these are Mark 1 belts, but I do soon replace them, as you will see. But that is the plan, to get a constructor going with reanimated SAM, and after that, sink it. At least while I have the power to run an awesome sink. That later becomes not the case. I do make sure when I'm running this belt to avoid the node there. Give it a little bit of breathing room for when I do tap it. There's no point in doing so right now, but very soon that third iron node will be coming quite handy. So the constructor is connected to my main grid. That's the line that runs out to the concrete factory. But if you remember, the awesome sink was connected to the two hub biomass burners. And that's going to be a power problem after a while, because those things are together are only 40 megawatts. A constantly running awesome sink is 30 megawatts. That is really heating up the solid biofuel, and so eventually, after I get enough tickets, coupons, I do end up shutting off the sink, and I'm just at that point letting the reanimated SAM collect, and I can sink it later, or use it for something else. We'll see how that goes, but it's certainly enough to make me a starting amount of Fix-It coupons for the awesome shop to get the things that I really need to start a nice build. And takes quite a lot of reinforced iron plate to upgrade all these belts to Mark II, so that I can make full use of the constructor. I do later realize that my recipe is more expensive, and I actually need 150 to create the 40 reanimated SAM per minute. So I do have to actually overclock the constructor. But I do manage to make enough reinforcement to upgrade this entire belt. Mark 2. And we have fully flowing SAM going into reanimated SAM. And as I said, I do figure it out. Just crank it down to 80%, and we're good to go. I love that little bump on the end, right in front of the awesome sink. I don't know what exactly caused it, but it makes a humorous belt for things to travel on.
Where would we be without foundations? Probably a bit lower.
I grab the half foundation so that I can finish my little experiment here with trying to make a decorative minor cubby. I don't know what you call that exactly. It's a nook, minor nook. You'll see. It's just a little curved concrete feature around. And I take a look at this and I decide that once this is done, that the 1 meter foundation isn't tall enough to achieve the look that I want. And I replace the entire thing with 2 meter foundations. You may notice on the sides where the 2 half foundations overlap, there is a lot of Z fighting. That is the flashy texture conflict between the 2 pieces. And I will show you how I deal with that here in a minute. There was a recent video I believe by Nova and Doug, Nova Labs, that talked about other ways to remove the Z fighting. But I use the simple pillar method here in the absence of infinite nudge, which can do it easily. And I'll show you how that works here in a second. I went and looked it up, and the video by, Doug and Nova is called The Perfect Z Fighting Solution in Vanilla Satisfactory. So if you want to learn a lot about the theory and some foolproof ways to get rid of Z fighting, go right on ahead. If you want to learn a simple, quick way, watch right here. There's a little bit of clipping on this belt, so I'm just going to move it. In all honesty, that looks better anyway. That was not my main power grid. That was, in fact, the awesome sink powered by the hub of biomass burners, and I'll deal with that here in a second. And I'm looking, and I'm amazed that I'm already running low on biofuel again, and there's going to have to be another chainsaw trip here in just a little while. But I do have 5 more coupons, so that is saying something. And I believe by the time it dies again and I decide to just let it be, that I did get even 3 more coupons. So here is where we can get rid of the Z fighting. Well, first I'm going to take a look and see that it's there, and it definitely is. Just those 2 half foundations overlapping. So from the awesome shop, I will start buying things that are useful for some really neat custom building things. The first one to get is the well, I'm taking my sweet time getting it. The concrete pillar, and the second one is the road barrier. Those are used for different kinds of advanced building techniques, but it's the pillar that's going to be the one that we can use to get rid of Z fighting. I'm also going to make extensive use of the modern railing there. So we'll get that, the pillars, the modern railing, and the road barrier, and check out for 4 coupons. And that leaves me a couple left, I believe. So here's the procedure for eliminating the Z fighting. We're going to place a concrete pillar in the very center of the foundation that we want to fix, and then we are going to remove the foundation and then replace it. But instead of placing it by locking it to the next foundation, we're going to lock it to the bottom of the pillar. And I believe that's about a 0.025 meter difference in height in the Z direction. And then I will repeat that process here. And then remove the pillar afterwards. Easy. And I'm going to go put some railings down, but I noticed that I did expand my platform by 1 foundation and didn't put an extra ramp down to balance it, so we're going to do that. But then we're going to put some railings down on the ramp, and for some reason those don't zoop when they're on the ramp like that. That's what I'm trying to do here. They have to be placed one at a time. For some reason it made an extra one there. I'm not sure exactly why that is. But just go around placing railings to help keep us from falling off by accident. Here I decided to use walls instead. I kind of like the look of that better. I might end up putting railing back on top of the wall. For some reason I always like to put walls around the space elevator, the 1 meters. I'm not sure why. And here I'm not actually changing the color, but I am changing the swatch. I'm changing it to the space elevator color. Project Assembly swatch, excuse me. And by doing that, and then when I change the Project Assembly color, and everything that has been made in that color will automatically change with it. And of course the space elevator is already that Project Assembly swatch, but I just wanted to make double sure. And so again, now I can edit that, make it white, and again it changes all those wall colors too, which is good. I probably won't keep it that color, that was just kind of a test. So now we go back and see that our biomass burners in the hub are empty again, and this time I think I'm just going to just leave it off. I don't need any more coupons right away. Grab the last little bit of biomass, biofuel out of the second burner there. Grab my tickets, which you can do even when it's powered down. You can't see how many there are, but you can grab them. You can print them. I guess it stores enough residual power to run the printer. And our main grid is not yet out of biofuel, but I don't want to chance it, so we're going to go on yet another chainsaw massacre. Enjoy! And now a combat interlude. And now back to the chainsaw. So I realize I'm close to the limestone pit, or what is normally the limestone pit in the standard game. And I'm just going to go and collect that yellow slug that's down there. I have enough weaponry now that I can take out this more difficult alcohol without even being in any danger. And I decide to collect some mycelia from the purple jungle here, and then I remember there is a crash site right here as well. Oh, and we see a lizard doggo friend. Let's go see if we can make friends with him. Seems like I always try first from too far away. I don't like to chance them running away, but no, I'm too far for him to even pay any attention to me, and I think this may as well also be too far. Yeah, I just need to get closer, get his attention first, and then put it down. At that point, that should be good to go. And there we go. He's taking the bait. We shall call him, well, I don't know if there's any other old fogies out there like me, but we'll call him McGruff, the crime dog. And I love the crash sites that are just operational with no materials or power necessary.
Reminder. No pioneer should speculate regarding why there are crashed freighters on this planet.
Concrete 1. Screws 2. Rotors 3. Wire 4. Rods 5. And there's one more, and it's reinforced iron plates over past the doggo. Somewhere around here. And there it is, reinforced iron plates, number 6. Now we're going to chainsaw some of the jungle, just a little bit, just at the edge, and then try to get this doggo home, which is kind of a long trek, but we will make it. May as well keep collecting biomass on my way home, right? No reason not to, as long as he's still following me. I'm not quite sure why my jumping raises his attention, unless it's just the movement. I don't know, but they can sometimes be hard to get to follow. Get them to follow you. Sometimes they're easy and sometimes not, and I can't really explain it unless they have different personalities that I'm not aware of. But now we are down in a hole. One of my favorite songs. Fused modular frames. That is some nice loot there. And some aluminum casing. Also nice. Those will help us down the road. And so we will drop our biomass in. First the wood, then the leaves. Awesome. And yeah, we're not at the level I'd like to see, but we'll get there. I'd like to see all those biomass burners full of solid biofuel. So I've noticed now my power is actually not draining that fast, and that's because all of my iron products are full. We will start a more complete iron factory in the next episode. Hopefully you'll be excited to see it. Actually, I start to lay out the concrete foundations for it this episode at the end. The main factory will be built next time. Here what we're doing, I realize I am not using as much copper as this miner can output. So I am just taking the power shards out and reducing it down to the level that I'm actually using, which I believe is it's 2 smelters worth or 3 smelters worth. It's there's no reason to be using that extra power in the miner at this point. Later on down the road, it will be necessary. Basically, I'm trying to minimize my power usage to maximize my biofuel longevity. So my standard wire production is full, which is really nice. My cable production, not so much. And I believe here's where I realized that I have my clock speeds wrong. Again, I have changed the recipe cost to 1.25x, and that changes the recipes. I don't think I'm producing the right amount. But I have fixed that at this point. My copper sheet production, well, I made that a Mark II, and then I realized that shouldn't be a Mark II. It just needs to be a Mark I. It's only taking in well, certainly not 60. But it's my wire is full, but my cable and copper sheets, I believe, are still producing, and so that power is still being used. Here's where I changed the clock speed, because my wire that is coming in I can't bring in as much as what it's wanting for a full cable. Normally you would feed 2 wire constructors, I believe, into the cable constructor, but I don't have that set up at this point, so we'll just go with a 50% clock speed. And that has made a little bit of difference, flattening our power usage a bit. It's still going to not be completely flat. We don't have machines that are running constantly. So I cut quite a lot of power investigation out of here that wasn't really necessary. Go and visit the doggos again. And back to more chainsawing. Alright, and that's what I like to see is some full conveyor belts when I come back. Again, we'll just drop the wood in, drop the leaves in next to it, over here, and let's go and check our levels. Everything's going up. Levels are not bad. More doggo visits. Rotors. I guess it hadn't quite been enough time for McGruff to bring me something new. So we go up here and check. Everything's running well. And we are making the biomass. Can't ask for much more than that at this point. Check our levels in the machines, in the burners. I like seeing those full conveyor belts. And these others are getting there, getting closer. And eventually they will be completely full. Now I calculated out the power I need for my iron factory, and I will have to add a few more burners, but it's not going to be too bad. And then at that point we'll be set for coal. Now we're going to get the railings up for the rest of the factory. Again, keep us from falling off the edge. Which I almost did right there. Fortunately, I caught myself in time, and I do have the parachute now, which means I would have been able to get myself over to the side in time to not die. But it's definitely a concern when you're building over the void. Something to watch out for. And we may as well fix up this miner surround while we're here. I'm having trouble telling if that's lined up or not with the other piece, but it is. It's lined up right with the edge of that ramp there. So I will place it, and I believe I make some edits to cut out a lot of the rest of this building, and you'll just see the ending of it. I think I do demonstrate the Z fighting removal one more time. And I do want to take another aerial view to make sure the miner surrounds look okay, and they do look fine. I play with some colors there. I cut a lot of that out. It was just me looking at them in different colors, and I think I did decide to make the miner surrounds a little darker, but that may not stay. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. And now it is time to start work on the levels for the new iron factory that will be built next episode. And I decide to build downward into the void. There's going to be a couple of ramps. Then it's going to turn and do a couple more levels down, and that should be plenty of room to build a factory. And take that off. Move our floor down there. A couple of pieces of flooring, 2 meters. And then more ramp down, and I just have to be careful not to fall off. And this time, no spoilers, I do not fall off into the void and have to reload this thing. I am careful enough. I definitely put railings down on these ramps in anticipation of that happening. And now comes a lot of zooping. I believe I cut a lot of that out so you can just see kind of the finished product. And it isn't quite finished. You'll see I do add some. I think I take away one row. I think this row off to my right is one too big yet. So let's remove that row, and then I add more in the opposite direction. Here I decide, well, if I want to make sure it's the same size, why don't I just place foundation there on the edge and then nudge it downward until it's the right level. Then I'll know exactly where I need to go. At the time I recorded this, I had not planned out my iron factory yet. I just knew that I needed a large concrete base here. Since then I have planned it out, and this is going to be plenty large enough to be able to do what I want to do, which is really, we're restricted by belt speed and power at this point. Once we get Mark III belts and coal power, we could easily double what I have planned. I don't know if I'll do that in this location or build something else somewhere else. I don't know if this amount of area will support double the machines that I have planned for it. I could always expand it, or I could overclock the machines, or some combination of that, or I could just build a new area and just keep this area for stocking my dimensional depots. And I look around and it doesn't look half bad, I think. The top level will be the smelter level. This level here will be the constructor level, and then I'm going to eventually, not this episode, but beginning of next episode, build a one more level down to house my assemblers. To make rotors, reinforced iron plates, smart plating, and modular frames will be on that level. Here I see that there's like a gap between my factory and the cliff there, and I just decide, well, why don't I just build a staircase so I can walk up that way instead of it's kind of like a shortcut to get beyond the smelters as opposed to having to walk through them and whatnot. It just looks kind of neat to have that ramp there. So it's kind of interesting. This almost reaches where I want it to go. It's like 1 meter off. But I can fix that. I'll just put a catwalk intersection down. And yes, that looks terrible, but I already know how to fix the Z fighting. I've demonstrated it already. I will move that foundation, shift it a tiny bit upward, make it whoops, I should not have deleted it there. I should have placed the pillar first. Place the pillar in the center. And remove the foundation. And then place another foundation locked to the pillar as opposed to the neighboring foundations. And there it is. Catwalk intersection is now non-dominant. And even better, in just a second I'll place another one across from it. And that one will be already in the right place. Because I've moved the foundation upward. And right here I realize that I have made my concrete pad 1 row too small in this direction, so we'll just fix that real quick. Time to replace the railings so we don't fall off. And then we are done with this portion. Again, I will come over and add a little bridge here over to the other section. And it's perfect, no Z fighting. And that's about it for this episode. So next time we will be building the iron factory. Look over what we've made one more time. Again, we will need one more level, but it should be a good episode. Join me next time. Thanks and bye.